Alright, so in today's lesson we're going to take a look at a song that I've written that has parts for everyone. Okay, so we have some open chords, power chords, triad inversions or chord fragments, as well as two really fun solos at varying difficulty levels. So let's dive right in, let's take a listen right now. Alright, so today I'm going to try to unpack a song that I've written for the purpose of teaching you some open chords, power chords, as well as triad inversions. So depending on which level you're at, there's something to work on for everyone here. And also two really fun solos. Now the solos are definitely more advanced, but the first solo here is pretty easy to mimic regardless of how long you've been playing for. The second solo is a little more involved. And I'm not going to worry too much about diving deep into the theory, but I will give you an overview of what we're doing here. So first off, if we're looking at open chords, we're going to talk about the G chord to start. I guess we have a regular G chord. Nice little volume here. There we go. So you can use a 4-finger or a 3-finger G. We have an A minor. We have a C chord and a D chord. So G, A minor, C, D. Okay? Those are our first 4 chords. Now, whatever we want to play, like I said, 4-finger, 3-finger, you can do bar chords, whatever makes sense for you. But most importantly, you want to have some version of those chords. Now, rhythmically for each chord here, when I'm strumming just a single chords, I'm going. What you're going to see is that my right hand, or my strumming hand, just keeps moving, while my fretting hand changes the chord. Now actually for the second chord, you can also play an A minor 7 to make it easy. Take your ring finger off. It's a nice easy switch. Then go into C makes it really simple. But keep your strumming hand moving and move your fretting hand slightly ahead of time. So like... nice and simple, right? Now, the hardest part about that is keeping the hand moving while you're transitioning chords, but that's a great thing to work on. So that would be, for those of you working on your open chords, focus on that, trying to get the transition going while keeping your strumming hand moving. So G, A minor, C, and D. And for all students, you're going to get access to the PDF for that, so you'll see it written down on the sheet as well. Now, the next chord we're going to do, or next part we're going to do is power chords. So that's like our straight open chords. Can take a bit of time to work on getting that in time with the song. But from there, if anyone here wants to work on some power chords, the next layer I did was power chords. So I did 2 different ways. So I started on the 3rd fret of string 6. We had the first finger, ring finger on the 5th fret of string 5, and pinky finger on the 5th fret of string 4. So that's a power chord. Now you can also get rid of that pinky finger if you want to just do 2 fingers. Whatever way works for you, 2 fingers or 3 fingers. I usually go for the 3 fingers just because my hands feel more comfortable, but do what you want there. All right, so what I'm doing for the strumming, I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then as I go to the next chord, I'm doing a quick rest. So instead of trying to like, you can do this, but I'm doing a quick rest. So I'm going to slide over 2 frets. So I don't release my hand off the strings, but I relax it. Slide over to the 5th fret, so 5, 7, and 7. And I skip that first down strum, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now I go to the 8th fret, same string. And we're going to play down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Rest, right? So 8, 10, 10. And then slide over to 10, 12, and 12. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So. So that's a lot of fun there. If you can get that rolling. So the hardest thing is the strumming. If you're just getting started though, same with the chords. For anyone here, if you have trouble keeping the time going, just worry about the transitions. Get yourself comfortable with those chords. Same with the chords. Get those transitions moving. So that's the first way for the power chords. 3, 5, 8, 10. And then the next way I did it was on the 5th string. Just to make it simple for everyone here, so you can follow along one string. So we have the 10th fret string number 5, 12th fret string number 4, and 12th fret string number 3. Same rhythm. So we go 10 and 12 to 12 and 14. So slide 2 frets higher. It's a little more crammed up here, so you definitely don't want to do this on the acoustic. And then I went down to the 3rd fret and 5th fret. So 3 and 5. And that one strum where I'm not hitting the strings actually makes it more rhythmic, right? Instead of going like... That can work, but I go like this. To me, that's much more interesting. So play with that, have some fun with the open chords and the power chords. And for those of you who can do triads or have done those before or want to get into it, I'm going to show you the shapes I'm doing. Now, the arpeggio pattern I'm doing here is always the same. I'll have it on the PDF for those of you who are enrolled here at PGS, but I'll give you a quick overview anyways of the chord shape. So I start off with the G down here. So 4th fret, 3rd string, 3rd fret, 2nd string, 3rd fret, 1st string. That's our shapes. Let's go over the shapes first. G, and then A minor is on the 5th fret. So 5, 5, 5. That's our A minor. And then our C is going to go 9, 8, 8 down here. And our D is going to be 11, 10, 10. So don't dive into these yet if you've never experienced any of these 3-string chords before and you still feel awkward with open chords and power chords. This wouldn't be the part, the level to start with here today. But if you're curious about these, go for it. So that's our first triad shape. Now the arpeggio pattern I'm doing on this is going to be string 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2. Sorry, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. And then I do the same thing when I move. I switch. I skip that one note. And so when we go to the next one, I'm skipping that first 3, so I'm going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. So the picking pattern is always the same on each chord, okay? So each set of 2 chords, like G and A minor. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. Rest, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. And then up here, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. Rest, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. The second set of shapes I'm doing, the G is here. So 7, 8, and 7. Like a D major chord here on the 7th fret. And then the A minor is going to be from the 3rd string, 9, 10, 8. like your D minor shape, but starting with a middle finger on 9. Same arpeggio pattern. And then for the C, we're going to go 12, 13, 12. And then for the D, 14, 15, 14. All right, so we have, and then the final set of shapes, 12, 12, 10 for the G. And then we have 14, 13, 12. Okay, and then we have 5, 5, 3. And then 7, 7, 5. So I split this into a group of 4. So we had the first progression, and then second, third, oh here we go, then down here, and then for the fourth I just go back to the first, and then kick it all off again. Okay, so that's a good way to get started with those chord shapes. From there, I mean, work on those a little bit. It's going to be hard to get it in time at first, and it took me a long time to really be comfortable with these inversions, to play them, you know, along with music. But if you get introduced to those, it's really good for funk, reggae, R&B, soul. If someone else is playing bar chords or open chords, you have a solution. You don't need to copy them, right? We can do something a little more interesting than just doubling up on the open chords. Okay, so that's it for the, we'll say the open chords, power chords, and triads. The next step up is going to be the solo. Now, for the solo, it's going to be a little more challenging, so I mean, feel free to watch this, but don't feel overwhelmed if you see this and it looks really, really complex for where you're at. Just make sure this is right for you, okay? So if you've been doing some solos before, some single note stuff, we're going to be doing some slides, some moving across the fretboard horizontally, which is the way I like to approach soloing. So stay tuned for that in just a second. All right, so now we're going to take a look at these solos that I created over this progression. Now, I did 2 distinct solos, and so you'll hear on the recording, if you listen to the actual recording, which students will have access to. Okay, so if you're a student here, just go to the student account and look under premium content. You'll find the actual recording for this. You're going to find one solo panned a little bit to the left, one panned a bit to the right. So the first solo is meant to be a little simpler, although it's not the simplest solo. But starting off here, we're going to go 4th fret, string number 3, okay? 4th fret on the G string. So this is over the G chord, right? Then we have the 3rd fret on string number 2. 5th fret, string number 2, slide to 8. Then we're going to play 10, 12, 8. So we have B, D, E, G, A, B, G to finish. So that note lands on the A minor chord. That's the first G chord. That's your highlighting your G chord tones. And then for the A, root note, 9th, and flat 7. Then for the next chord, when it goes to C, we're going to go a C note, so 12th fret, oh sorry, 13th fret, 12, 10, 8, and then resolve to the 7th fret on string number 3. So we have C, B, A, G, D. And that note, the D lands on the D chord. That's your G phrase. A minor. This is the C chord. This is the D. The second phrase starts the same way. And then for the C and D chords, we're going to go up here to 13, 13 on the second string, 15, 17, 15. C, C, D, E, D. So focusing on the root notes there. And third time, starts off the same way. For the first 2 chords. And then for the C and the D chords that come in, I'm going to play this palm muted phrase. So 13, 12, 10, 8, 12, 8, sorry, 12, 10, 8. resolve into 7 on string number 3. So it's a play on the first phrase, right? Instead of go. So the palm mute really helps bring that out. Instead of. That's our third phrase. Fourth phrase goes down. We go 4, 2 on the third string, and then on the fourth string, 5, 2, and then 7, 9, 5. So that's for our first 2 chords. That's B, A, G, E, A, B, G. And then we're going to bend up on the third string. Full tone bend. Okay. And this phrase here highlights the C major chord tones. We bend the D to an E. Then we have a C and a G. Comes from a pedal steel bend. And we want to keep that note bent. But we grab those first 2 strings. Resolve into the C. And then the final note, we're going to bend the 9th fret on the 3rd string up a full tone. So it matches up with the F sharp, which is in the D chord. That's our first solo, so like this. Not again. Now, one great thing you can take from that solo is the way it is arranged. So if you look at each phrase, the first 3 phrases all start the same way, right? So we go through the wrong note at the end there as our starting point. And then from there, we're changing the ending. And so a lot of that repetition makes it nice for our ears. When you listen to something like that, you can anticipate what's going to happen. But then having the variation there, so the first time ending with, and the second time ending, and third time going. Right, so we're repeating similar rhythms. We're repeating the same notes at the start, but the variation is what makes it catchy. If we just did the same thing over and over, 4 times in a row, it'd be quite boring. It doesn't make it that interesting, right? And then the final phrase, we can call like A, B, C, D if you wanted to. The final phrase changes it a bit because it goes lower down instead of going, and then we finish it with a completely different phrase. So that's what makes it quite interesting. And I like to do stuff like that when I write solos. Try to make it so it has a lot of repetition in it, so our ears can catch on to it, but also a lot of variation, right? And that's one approach to soloing. All right, so the second phrase is a little more challenging, or second solo anyways. So when I dive into this here, like I said, don't be worried about getting it perfect, but let's take a look at the ideas that I'm using here. So we're starting off on the 3rd fret of string number 3. Bend a semitone. Resolving to the G, okay? So minor 3rd to a major 3rd over the G chord. Very bluesy. And then we're going to go down to the 5th fret, string 5. 3, 5 on string number 4. And then we're going to play 4, 5, 7 on the 3rd string, which is B, C, D. So these are all chord tones from the G. And the A minor chord happens to land, with that D note. So that's a bit of tension on the A minor. But that still makes it sound really good because you can resolve it after, right? So you don't have to have every single note sounding perfect over the chord. So that's the A minor. almost like we're playing an A7 sus or an A sus chord. So these notes, if you look at them, I would say it's from the minor pentatonic with some alterations. You can call it the Mixolydian pentatonic, or just call it the Mixolydian scale. If you don't know what that is, just ignore that for now, okay? And then we're going to go to the 9th fret on string 3. 9, 7, 9. 8 on the 2nd string. 7 on the 2nd string. And so this is E, D, E, G, F sharp, and that's where the D chord comes in, right? So this is over the C, which lines up nicely with those chord tones if you were to break it down. Those two notes are in the chord, right? So, and then this right here on the D chord. We're going to play F sharp, so 7th fret string 2, 9, 7 on string 3, which is E, D, 9 on the 4th string, which is a B note. We're hammering on back 7 to 9 on the 3rd string, so D, 7th fret string number 4, which is an A note, resolving to the G when that G chord comes in at the end. So this phrase here is on the D. That's on the C. And then now the next phrase coming in here, the first chord of the G, 9th fret 4th string, 7th fret 3rd string twice, which is the 3rd interval, the 5th interval, B, D. And then we're going to do a hammer on 7 to 9 on the 3rd string to the 8th fret string number 2. Over the A minor, right? So that's a flat 7. We're going to slide in 12 on the 2nd string to 10-10 on the 1st string. And then 10, 12, 15 on string number 1. And that's over the C chord, right? So you look at the chord tones there. This is the 9. The E is in the chord. And the G is in the chord there for the C. Or the A minor. And then... So you see the similarities in those rhythms too, right? And then for the D chord at the very end, I'm coming down a D arpeggio. So 14 on the 1st string, 15 on the 2nd, 14 on the 3rd. And then 12, 11 on the 3rd string. And this note here is a 4th interval or 11th interval on the D chord. Very common thing to add in. So a ton of songs will use that. It's not something that I made up myself in terms of the note choices. And then 12, 14, 12. That's when it goes back to the G, right? So we're playing G, A, G. So this is all arpeggio notes except this one. And then going to the G. Those are like our lead-in tones. Right back to the G. Now the next phrase that comes in is very rhythmic, and this might be hard to do, but you can try it out. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Let's see what I'm doing here. Up, down, up. Now to get that sound, I'm palm muting too, because otherwise you get... Which is fine, but I think it sounds much better. Then we're going to go... So this is basically the same phrase on G, A minor, C, and then for the D, we're going to play a C note and a B note, right? So it's not necessarily chord tones, it's leading back in. So with the D, we're getting like a 6th interval by hitting that B note. very end, like we're doing the same thing again, 3 times. Then for the final phrase, we're going to play 11 and 9 with the same rhythm on the 3rd string. Which is over the D chord. It's a little more of a resolve. And then string number 4, we're just going to go down the G major scale. 12, 10, 9 on the 4th string. D, C, B, A, G. So 12, 10 on the 5th string. And to finish it, I'm going to bend from a B flat to a B on the 4th. Similar to what we did at the first note, right? So first note of that solo, it's the same note, but we're just finishing it in a different place. But it has this exact same octave, just a different place on the fretboard. And that's the cool thing there, is taking that first note and also putting it into the end and finishing the song or the solo that way. Get this. And started with. There you have it, the full solo. Now, I mean, I could break it down even more for you. I don't want to extend the video too long, but it gives you an idea of what I'm playing there and what I'm thinking of. But a lot of this too, as you play all these ideas, like arpeggios, chord tones and that, as you get them under your fingers, this stuff will start to come out without you thinking too much about what they are. So a lot of times, even when I'm writing a solo like that, I'll make some good phrases up, memorize what they are, go back and look at what I'm doing and try to refine it. Like, am I playing chord tones? What am I doing? Trying to figure it out afterwards. I don't think about all that stuff beforehand, because sometimes that can stifle your creativity if you're always thinking about what to do. But if you can find the notes that sound good and figure out why they did, and maybe use a bit of your theory knowledge to understand where you can go from there. Like if you're stuck on a note, trying to figure out what to do, what note you could choose potentially, the theory will really help you there. It'll help you understand where you can go, right? So a lot of this, like when I'm making phrases like over a few different chords, I'm not thinking, okay, on the G chord, I'm going to hit the A, which is going to be the 9th. I'm not thinking that in the moment. When I write it, though, then I'll refine it. And this solo is a written solo, not an improvised solo. So it's a little different, because in an improvised solo, I might have a lot more variation compared to repetition. But when I sit down and have the time to actually think about what I'm playing, then I can go through and make sure certain rhythms are repeated throughout, certain note choices keep making an appearance. And for example, that last solo, having the first note is the same as the end. That kind of stuff where you have to think about it a little bit. When you sit down and actually write something, and when I say write, I don't mean write on paper. I mean try to memorize what you're playing and what sounds good, and construct your solo. That gives you the chance to figure out what's going to work and where it's going to work. So for the most part, if you spend most of your time just improvising solos, I would say spend a lot more of your time. Like I'd say 80% of your time writing solos and a little bit of time improvising. But really, being good at improvising is all a product of being good at writing in general. So I mean, if you work on improvising for the most part and you like that, you have a lot of fun with that, that's good. But definitely try to spend more time on writing stuff and making things that actually you can memorize, rhythms you can repeat. And try to know what sounds good and why. Any questions with that, let me know. Students here will have access to the backing track, the PDF. Just go to your student account under premium content. And if you like this stuff, subscribe so you get more videos each week in your inbox, okay? See you later.